Okay, and next let's look at emotions. Emotions means your happiness, joy, your anger. So every one of us has emotions. In some cultures, their emotions are explicit. Explicit means clear. So they are explicit to show their emotions in public. In the workplace, for example, they will show their inner feelings and their true emotions in the workplace. But in some cultures, their emotions are implicit because people are taught, are educated to remain calm, or they normally don't bring their personal feelings, personal matters to the public or to the workplace. Okay, so here we have two different kind of cultures and conventions when people show their emotions. Okay, here then we will see how this cultural dimension affects people's behaviors in the workplace. The first thing is nonverbal communication. Nonverbal communication. So you can imagine that if people they show their emotions explicitly, what will they do with their nonverbal their nonverbal communication methods or their body language? Normally they will be probably more outgoing, and they are a bit more passionate. So when they are happy, they will let you know they are so happy, and when they are sad, they cry probably in front of you in the office. When people show their emotions implicitly, their non-verbal communication style will be, of course, a little bit more conservative, and their facial expressions may not that obvious for you to spot their inner feelings. Okay, and this will also affect how people show their public self and private self. When people have explicit emotions come from this culture, then their public self and private self may be pretty much similar. So how they are at home can be very similar to how they are at office. But for people who have implicit emotions, their public self and private self can be very different, right? Because they don't bring their personal life or their personal feelings into the public field. It can be your office, it can be in the company, or in public, right? Okay, next let's look at this poster. This is a very famous poster produced by Britain. Keep calm and carry on. So in Second World War time, the English government they told people that keep calm. Okay, now we are suffering from the war, and the whole situation in the country is devastating, but let's remain calm, keep calm, and move on. Okay, carry on, move on. All right, so this is a kind of typical implicit emotional culture. So they're telling people that don't get panic, don't make a fuss, don't how should I say that? They just want people, to control themselves and to compose themselves and keep it calm and carry on. This is typical implicit emotional culture. Okay? All right, now let's look at this lifestyle. This is also very important cultural dimension. In this cultural dimension, we refer to working time and personal time. How people balance their working time and personal time. Okay. The first kind of extreme here is the mingled working time and personal time. It means that in some cultures, working time, office time is very important, and sometimes more important than personal time. So even though now, this is after working time, okay, you leave your company, you leave your office, but for some people in this culture, they will still answer business calls, or when they are in the holiday, they will still do their jobs on their holidays. So this is mingled working time and personal time. In another culture, personal time can be more important than working time. So they separate their working time and personal time. During office hours, they are very focused. They don't do any personal stuff, any personal matters. They don't answer personal phone calls or reply personal emails. No, they don't do any personal things. They will focus on their job. But when they have their holiday, when they have their lunch break, they will totally relax. They won't answer business calls. They won't do anything related to their job. They just enjoy themselves on their holidays or during their breaks. So this is separates working time from personal time. So there are two different kind of lifestyle. How does this cultural dimension affect people in business? The first thing is the definition of efficiency. So people from two different kind of cultures, they will define efficiency in different ways. And also working hours. In separate Thai culture, you will find that you have to wait. If you want to contact someone during lunch break, you have to wait. You have to wait till afternoon to contact the person because people are having their lunch during the lunch break. But in Minko time, you can always find somebody to answer your call. Okay, they may set people on duty during lunch break, or your business partners. They were very happy to answer your call during their lunch because job is important and working time has no limit to them. So working hours will be different. The definition of privacy will be different, and also the range and the definition of responsibility is different. So for Minko times and culture, employees' responsibility for their job sometimes it has no limits. You just have to do your things properly, no matter now it's within the office time or now it's your holiday. Okay, but in separate time culture, people's responsibility for their job is only limited in their working hours or office hours. Okay, finally, let's look at this cultural dimension, relationship with nature. So in business, when we do things, sometimes we will encounter some problems like, we want to hold events, but how about the weather? Is the weather good? Or is the weather bad? Or you want to explore markets and you see that the living conditions are not good in that market. So we don't go, or the living conditions are good in that market, and that we go for that market. People have different considerations about the environment that we are in when doing business. There are two extremes in the spectrum of this cultural dimension. One is obedience. So when dealing with nature or environment, then one kind of attitude, one kind of value is obedience. We are obedient to nature. How it is like, okay, we accept that. Or people often say that this is destiny. Okay, let's just follow the destiny, and we will see how it goes. Okay, and if it goes well, great. Then we go for it further. If if it does not go well, okay, we'll probably stop at some time, and then we will stop our lose. But another kind of cultural value is to control the nature, to manage the environment. So people tend to believe that, as long as we make efforts, as long as we think about solutions, we can change things, and we can make change over the nature, we can make change over the environment. Alright, so there are two different kinds of attitudes. And here, how does this cultural dimension affect people and business? The first thing is risk management. So in controlled culture, they will try to calculate, they will try to assume what kind of risks they may encounter, and they want to manage that risk. No matter that risk is made by people or the risk can be caused by the nature or environment, they will try to manage. But in obedience culture, no, they don't try to manage the risk, because if the risk can be managed, so why do we call them risk? So why don't we just go for it and then see what we can do? Contingency plan. So in controlled culture, they will try to make up a contingency plan B, plan C, and they'll try to control things, right? And also problem solution. Obedience culture, they will tend to follow the problems. Okay, when problem comes, then let's come up with some solution. But in controlled culture, they will try to predict what problem can be or may be, and they will try to prevent problem. All right. What is the mainstream cultural value in your society? And what are your personal values? And what are other people's cultural values and their personal values? So please reflect these 5 cultural dimensions: communication context, time perception, emotions, lifestyle, and the relationship with nature. And hopefully this reflection can help you to increase your intercultural understanding and knowledge. Okay, so these are some final remarks, and I would like to remind you some points before we finish this session. First, culture is not a universally accepted notion. The cultural value system is based on empirical data on national cultures. But we need to remember one thing, that there are many subcultural groups in each country. Although sharing most of the values of the national culture, the subcultural groups have their own heroes, symbols, and rituals. It is possible a subcultural group share many similarities across national cultures. So what does it mean? It means that the cultural value system, all these cultural dimensions you have learned in this course so far, they are based on empirical research. Okay, so all the information, knowledge is basically provided by scholars, by researchers. But just remember that when you are thinking about one particular nation or national culture, normally in that culture, there are subcultures and subcultural groups. For example, in Taiwan, we talk about Taiwanese culture in general. But in Taiwan, we also have Hakka people, right? We have Aboriginal tribes, and we also have new immigrants like Vietnamese people or Thai people. Okay, so they are subcultural groups, and they live in this country. We share the mainstream values, but every subcultural group has their own heroes, their own traditions, or even their own beliefs. And some subcultural groups, they can share similarities across nations. For example, Buddhists. If you believe in Buddhism, no matter you are Taiwanese or you are American, you may share a lot of similarities between each other because you have the same religious belief. The things you eat, the way you behave, probably very much similar to each other, even though one of you is Taiwanese and the other one is American. The same for Christians or Muslims. Maybe one is Malaysian, the other one is from Middle East, but because both of them are Muslims, so the way of their thinking, the food they eat, or the things they do are pretty much similar. Okay, so this is why it means the subcultural group can share many similarities across national cultures. Okay, finally, members of the culture may not be able to describe that culture accurately and articulately in a way that would be accepted by another person who is also a member of the same culture. So just remember that we have to rely on our own observation. When you are learning about a new culture, you study, yes, and you go out and you see, and you talk to different people, and you get information from many different channels, but you have to synthesize all the information, knowledge you get, and you try to interpret them according to your own observation, okay? Because different people may tell you different things, even though they are all from the same culture or same nation. Right. This is the end of this session. Please look at our reference, and I will see you next time. Bye.